What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video on the Garage 533 YouTube channel. On this video, we are going to be tackling this Toyota Avalon. It's going to just be like a do what I can type job, but it's not going to be anything too crazy. It took a driver's side hit in the front, just ruined all the body panels, so we got a hood for it, we got fenders for it. They're just like junkyard hood and fenders. A new bumper, and then he still has like all the trim and grill and everything as far as I can tell. He had to buy one new headlight. I polished out the other headlight. Wish I would have got a video of that because it turned out pretty good. It was pretty yellow, but I didn't. It's in pretty rough shape. It's got some damage back there in the quarter panel, but it doesn't really affect the door much, and tire's already going flat from it sitting, and the hood kind of pushed up into the glass, so the front windshield needs replaced. But yeah, right here you can see this got crinkled. So it took, most of the hit in like that. Over here you can tell this one's like pretty straight, and this one is not. So it was actually over a little farther. I hooked up to the lift over there and pulled it out a little bit. I've been tweaking on a few of these things. There's a couple bolts, there's like 6 bolts broken off. So I drilled those out, and there's a few rusty spots that I hit with the grinder, and just where I was smacking on it with the hammer and stuff and trying to move things around, I went ahead and just skimmed it with the grinder in a few spots. But this is still a little mangled. We're gonna have to figure out when we get the new fender on what that needs to go to and what its real purpose is. There's still a little piece of fender down in there. So from what I can tell, he's got 2 new hinges on the hood. The hood fits pretty decent when you put it on there. Other than that, I didn't really test too many parts, but from what I can tell, that rail's just a little kinked. There's a little bit of bent up stuff, but we should be able to get the whole front end back on this car. I might wrap the bumper. We might do like an oil change, tune up here and there, and detail it, maybe buff it back out, and just give it back to the guy looking a lot better, put together. It runs and drives, so it's good there. So maybe with just like a tune-up, put the front end on, try to align it the best we can, try to get it mounted the best we can, and get everything hooked up and working like it should for the most part. Get some new bulbs in it and just replace little things like that. Hopefully it'll be a driving beater again, basically. Clean out the inside, wash the outside, maybe shine up the black a little bit, and send it down the road as just like a good beater. It's been wrecked, it's been put back together. It's got some scrap parts and junkyard parts on it, and one good headlight, one not good, and not OEM bumper, and it's got its problems, but at least it'll be a put together car that runs and drives, looks halfway decent. So we'll see. It could end up being a huge transformation. Maybe I can buff this black out and it looks 10 times better, and maybe with a nice wash, front end back on, who knows? It's kind of crazy sometimes. The ones I think that aren't gonna be that big of a transformation turn out to be. So yeah, that's my introduction on this thing. Alright, so new day today. I came in and got these hood hinges off the hood real quick. I'm gonna slap a coat of paint on them because they're just like bare metal. It sticks out pretty bad as having been replaced. And yesterday before I left, after I filmed the last clip, I just shot the bare metal parts and the parts that I had to kind of like hammer and dolly and sand, and where I had to drill out some drill bits and hit it with the flap disc. It just left some bare metal and some scratches, and there was a couple little rusty spots, and I just wanted to touch it up before we go ahead and put all this stuff back on, just to make the engine bay look a little nicer and appear for it to appear a little bit less wrecked and beat up. So I shot it with some, what is it, VHT's roll bar chassis paint. So where I had to drill out bolts, you know, it left it kind of, like down here's a good example. Where I had to drill out bolts, it left it like pretty beat up. So I just touched it up. I hit it with the flap disc just to knock it down, and then touched it up with the paint. It doesn't look perfect, but it looks a lot better than it did. Here's the damaged side. So where I had to hammer and dolly a lot down in there and grind away a lot, I just touched it up with some black so that it doesn't rust too bad. Where the damage was, there was some rust starting, and it'll just make it look a little bit better once we put everything back on. You won't really see a whole lot of this. You know, headlights will go on, fenders will go on, bumper and grill and everything will go on, and you'll just see, you know, some little spots of it. So makes it look a little bit better. All right, well, like I said, I got the hinges, and then this is a little ground piece that was in the engine bay. So it was getting pretty rusty, and I figured I would clean up the grounds for the battery and everything because they're all pretty bad. So I cleaned up, I had the wire brush out doing those hinges anyway, so I just hit the terminals, the tops of the shocks, that bracket, and the grounds, and just a few little pieces inside the engine bay just to knock off some of the rust with that wire wheel. So I also cleaned up the engine cover. This is a huge eyesore when people work on cars and do things to cars and they're too lazy to even clean the engine cover. That is literally there to make the engine look better. So I hate when mechanics leave them all greasy and nasty and looks stupid. Looks lazy is what it does. While I had the wire wheel out, cleaned off the terminals. This is where that little ground spot goes. So I cleaned this off. Once that bracket's done, I'm gonna make sure it's all good and get in good contact. Clean that one. I still gotta do that one. And that way, you know, the engine to chassis ground's good, the battery to ground chassis is good, to chassis ground is good, and I just cleaned up a few little rusty spots. There was like just a few spots that were really bad, and hit the terminals real good. I still got to go on the inside with the wire brush, but you know, just knocked some rust off of things with the wire wheel, and then started fitting up the body panels. So this was the wrecked side. This is a completely different fender from the car, you know, junkyard find. Other than it being dirty and kind of scratched up and everything, it's in pretty good shape. I wanted to see like where these little brackets go to. So I gotta bend those out, get those reattached to the fender when I put it on. The front bumper, even though it's not OE, looks pretty good. Looks like it fits pretty well. I just got the grill sitting in there. I don't have like, you know, the bumper support and a couple little panels, and I only have one headlight thing in, and so I need to make the other side look like this, where the mounts can actually mount. Get the bolts back in this side. This fender I think is the original because it was all damaged in the wreck, so I need to try to fix that as best I can. But even still, the bumper lines up decent. You know, the bolt holes line up decent. It's just that. So I guess if worse comes to worse, I'll push it out a little bit and it'll just look however good it looks. But yeah, I just wanted to see that where I straightened some stuff out, that bolt holes were going to line up. This one really doesn't, but the other two do. So what I'll probably try to do is just suck this in as far as I can, secure it however I can, and it'll just have to be what it's going to be. Maybe I can pound it around with the hammer a little bit more, but that's right where the big impact happened. So okay, I don't know where I was at the last time I filmed on this car, but made a lot of progress probably since. kind of checked this thing over mechanically, got some grounds fixed, got the terminals cleaned off, and just did some little stuff in the engine bay. I did get this fuse box mounted back over. These are just sitting in here because I wanted to make sure that's where they went, but the front end and everything's pretty well mocked up. Those two pieces do fit down there. I wanted to make sure of that. Got the two fender liners, figured out which side they go on. Got the new hood hinges painted and put back in. They look fresh, you know, they don't stick out as new or anything. They're just nice, fresh black, look good. All the damage was like on that side, but this side actually turned out to be kind of a pain in the ass to get this fender to line up. Originally it was kind of like, I don't know if everything was shifted over, and then from them just like opening the door or whatnot, just bashed in this fender real bad and made it really low, which in turn makes the door still hit it really. I need to get it pushed out a little bit farther, but at least now with the top secured and the bottom secured, I have it to where the door just like barely clears, but I want to work on that, get a little bit better. But I did get like the grill mounted in the bumper for good. I did get like the bumper brackets on the headlights and get the headlights mounted in for good. They don't look half bad considering that one's new and that one's 12 years old. I didn't mess with the fog lights. He's only got one anyway, so I figure maybe I'll just have him get some actual little surrounds and some new fog lights, or just leave them out. It doesn't really look bad without them. I do have like the little foam crash pad in there. Got that back on, got these little radiator vents back in, got the intake back on, everything bolted down there. The fenders, I think 3 out of the 4 will all bolt up and work good, and then it's nice, these will actually cover it anyways, so that you won't see they're missing one bolt each. But this one is stripped and pretty badly misaligned and just doesn't really work or need to be in there because of how that, like I said, how that door is. And then this one, the one right here just doesn't line up at all because this whole thing shifted over, and that's just where the wreck really got it. But like I said, with these you won't really be able to tell. And there is a plastic piece. You can see that those have little holes and connectors in them, and then this thing has all these little holes in them, and then along with the bumper and everything, and these little spots, there's supposed to be like a whole plastic cover that goes through here, and I don't have it. I'm assuming it probably got pretty destroyed, but if we could get that, it would actually clean it up a ton when you pop the hood, just to kind of seal all this off. You wouldn't see, you know, any of the mangled metal that was, and just clean everything up. You wouldn't see as many open holes and stuff like that. So try to see if he'll get a piece, one of those pieces new or used or something like that. But the headlights actually fit in the bumper pretty mint. The bumper itself fits pretty mint. Even the gaps aren't too bad. I still got the plastic on that one. I can go ahead and lay the hood on and get it on and see how it lines up. I'm just waiting on the new struts for it to do that, and then, you know, hook up the line for the windshield wipers, get the fender liners back up in there, get those back up in there, get the bulbs back in the headlights. They're still down there dangling. I don't have these in yet. I did put the brackets and all that in, and the bumper stays, I got those fixed, but I haven't like actually secured everything. The fenders are both like 50% mounted, same with the bumper, so need to make all that 100%, get the fender on this side as good as I can so that the door can open, get these little trim pieces and little rubber pieces back down in and secured. The battery is dead. I think it's good, but it's just dead, so I need to get that charged. I'd like to do like an oil change, maybe some plugs, get the engine cover back on this. I got it cleaned up over there. Alright, we are back in the shop. Thanks, Alexa. We are back in the shop another day. Today I want to, yesterday I didn't film much, but I did get the hood aligned, closing as best I can. There's still some pretty wild gaps and it's pretty bad, but what do you expect when a car is tweaked that much? So I got it as best as possible. It closes now. You know, latches fine, pops fine, so it works fine. It looks all right. I still need a few little parts and pieces off the old parts, the old hood and stuff like that. I need a little lip and stuff, so apparently the customer has them. So I'm waiting on a few little things. I need to go to the store, get a few bulbs and miscellaneous stuff, but we're kind of on to the process of just trying to clean it up a little bit on the outside. Now that the hood and whole front end is put on, you know, water's not going to get anywhere that it shouldn't be. The bulbs and the sockets at least are plugged into the headlights, so should be good to go to get wet, get washed, get really cleaned up, and then from there I can just kind of keep improving on the car, but it needs a bath really bad. So before I put these two little plastic pieces on the underside, I'm gonna wash those off, and then you know, I still need this little lip, but the hood and everything is on. Like, this gap's a little big, this fender's a little bowed out and crinkled up, but you know, I gotta do the best I can do with the parts that I'm supplied. I didn't handle that stuff on this, so I'm looking at it now, you know, it's a little low on this corner, but it is what it is. It's gonna look a hell of a lot better. I got it up on jack stand so I can really clean the wheels off and everything. It's gonna look a hell of a lot better with a freaking bath. Yesterday I did get this fender liner in. The other side was wrong. I don't know why or how or what happened, but they got two of these sides, or gave me two of the same side, so that side doesn't have a fender well. But once I get these washed, I can put those back up in, and other than a fog light, a window switch, two fog lights, a window switch, a mirror for that mirror, and like two other little trim pieces for the front end, it'll at least be put back together. So get it washed, get the last little pieces and stuff I need for it. If I'm gonna do an oil change and tune up on it, get that stuff, and then I can kind of go from here basically, but at least it'll be 99% put together, cleaned off. I can decide if I want to buff any of the paint out, make the paint look any better. I can decide if I want to clean the interior, the windows, you know, how far I want to go with it. So this is the first step, plus, you know, the daily needs a wash anyway. It doesn't really look bad. It's crazy just spraying it and getting it wet made it look pretty clean, but Okay, we got this Toyota washed the other day, really well. Got the wheels nice and clean. Got all the nastiness kind of out of the paint with the clay bar, the synthetic clay bar, and just gave it a really thorough wash. Some good products, 2 or 3 shots of the foam cannon, fully, use the clay mitt to fully clay bar the paint, everything, the grill, the lights, except for the new one, the glass. I didn't clean like the inside of the glass yet. I didn't clean like the door jambs and all that stuff yet. I literally just focused on getting the outside, exterior of the car clean and free of all debris and contaminants. So what that left us with was a pretty hazy, pretty scratched up surface. The clay mitt, takes everything out, but it also kind of dulls it, scratches it a little bit, which is what it's supposed to do. After clay barring, you are supposed to kind of polish back out. So the wheels, everything on the outside is clean. I haven't touched the inside, so you'll still see the glass on the inside has crap on it. Not worried about that right now. I have it up on jack stand still. I need to get the little under trays in the front put back on, and I might as well just leave it because I can, tire shine the tires and stuff with them rolling, and it lifts the car up a little bit to just work on it, finish it up. And what I'm doing now, what I started to do was buff this paint back out. So I'll show you guys the before of what this paint looks like now with it clean. I've never done like the tape method. I don't really like leaving lines in the paint like that. When you buff, half of the side, leave the other half of the side. It's super satisfying to pull the tape and see the difference and everything, but you're also kind of creating a harsh line. But with this car, I figured I'd do it, try it, see if I can make it look flawless once it's done, and that hopefully there won't be a noticeable line, which there shouldn't be. If you go back over it with the tape off and make it right, it shouldn't leave a line anyway. But I always kind of look down on people that did this. It's not really necessary. It's kind of a video thing, but it's cool. It really does help show the difference really well. So here I have this light set up, so hopefully we can see pretty well, but here you can see, obviously there's a reflection. It's clean now to the touch. It's not all scratchy and everything like it was. It was super rough. So it's clean. It's free of everything basically. There's a ton of rock chips and damage and really deep scratches and places where stuff has just sat on it. Tree saps or whatever it is, and grime from the road just sits on it, so there's a lot of those spots all over it. Some of that will come out, some of it won't, but you can see basically this side of the hood is pretty bad. Get in on that light there. It's pretty bad. Moving over to this panel. Pretty good difference. It gets rid of a lot of that hazing and that swirling that you see around that light. It almost looks like cracks or really bad scratches, which is basically what it is. So after hitting it with the first step, you get rid of a lot of that top swirliness. Light's still kind of fragmented, still kind of textured looking. Some of these spots that were here, like a tree sap or something, have lightened up a little bit, but still in the clear coat. A lot of the big scratches still there. They won't really come completely out, but then we move on to this side. As you can see, still some, not the best results on this one. 2 pretty quick passes on that one and that one. Then we move down here to where I've basically given it everything I could. This is the Ultimate Compound. A little bit of Jack's Wax's step 2 perfection or perfect polish, and then I've gone ahead and hit it with the ceramic wax to kind of seal it. So you can see up there, decent results. And then down here, a little bit better results. This hood is in, terrible shape. There is literally chips and stuff like all through it. But this one's even getting like kind of rusty. But if you go from here to here, it is night and day. Very textured, very scratched, very hazy. Does not look good, does not look nice and black. And then you step to this side and it's a lot better. Still not perfect, but this car would need like a full wet sand, a full paint correction to even get it to look decent. So the customer is not looking for that. This car came into me wrecked, almost totaled out, and he just wanted it put back together, and I'm just going the extra mile to make it look a little bit better when I give it to him. So this is just kind of an additional thing I'm doing for it. I also hit the grill. With it being in front, it takes a lot of abuse. So you have kind of the same idea as like the paint over here. It's very, very beat up. The light is not look good up against it. And then you move to this side, a little bit better. You can actually see a reflection pretty well. I guess I'll go ahead and peel this tape, and we'll move on to getting the rest of the car done. I think this paint has like a flake in it that I don't even think you really couldn't even tell before, because it just looked really like chipped and scratched up. But it's all this that you're seeing is like, I don't know, it's weird. It's like there's a silver flake in it. I would almost guarantee that there's like a silver, you can kind of see it in there. It just looks like the bad paint, really, but there's like a silvery flake to it. I don't think it's just like a straight black. Super hard to catch on this camera. This is, it's definitely not the best for it, but yeah. I thought it was just straight black. Turns out it's got some flake, so. All right, and there is the difference with the tape pulled. You can kind of see where I came over the tape a little bit on this side and started getting this one. But yeah. The difference there from something untouched to what I've done so far, it's pretty different, pretty crazy. You can see at the top and the bottom how bad the light looks, and what's coming off of it is just showing all those scratches. And then over here it doesn't do that. There's nothing around the light showing off bad paint. So that's that hazing and that swirling that we're at least getting out. Like I said, the paint's not going to be perfect. I'm not going to go the length of actually wet sanding and all that, but for just a quick buff, some ceramic wax, it's going to look 10 times better. So yeah, I'm going to get to it. Get on to doing this to the rest of the car, basically. The hood really needs it really bad. The fenders are pretty bad, the roof is pretty bad, and then the top of the trunk is pretty bad. So as you'd expect, the top parts of the car that have really been hit with the sun hard, the mirror caps need it really bad. Those are going to be the ones that I really focus on. 2 front fenders, the hood, the roof, and the top of the trunk will probably get more love and attention than anything else on the car. And then for the sides, I'll probably keep it pretty quick and just try to make it look better. Shouldn't be as bad, but something like this, should really clean up a lot better. This door handle here, obviously, it's the driver door handle, so it's to be expected, but just super scratched to hell. But as far as like paint goes on the side of it, it's not terrible. But then you get up to the roof, way worse. Very dulled out. I'll do stuff like this And then like these mirror caps are really bad. There has just been bugs and stuff hit on this for so long that they're still in there even after the really deep wash and clay bar and all that. I think that is something still stuck on there too. Or actually that's like a burn. That's weird. That's like a burn from like a cigarette or something. But yeah, mirror caps really should shine up a hell of a lot better. I know the roof is gonna look so much better, 10 times better, because there's a huge difference just from like the pillar to the roof. For whatever reason, it's really bad back there. But yeah, like back here, you get rid of that hazing and swirling, and parts of the car like this are gonna look really, really good. I already know because it's not all chipped up. It hasn't been scratched and, you know, swirled and hazed as bad as, you know, some of the other parts of the car. So some of this should shine up really, really nice. There's already a good reflection, so I know that'll look 10 times better. But other parts, like the trunk here, it's gonna be rough to get all this out. These are just super bad scratches and swirls, and just look like somebody freaking washed it with a rock or something. I don't know what all that's from. They literally, it's bad. But then other parts like the trunk here probably won't be too bad. Tail lights cleaned up really nice after the wash. Exhaust tips turned out really nice after the wash. They're actually nice and chrome again. All the badges look good. The windows, once I get the insides clean, will look fresh, minus this front one that has like the tint kind of messed up, but the rest of them should look really good. Okay, coming to you from the future, I am sitting here editing this video and realizing that it's already like 35-40 minutes long, and I'm having to like cut clips short so that the video's length isn't too crazy long. So rather than do that and try to jam it all into this one video, I'm just gonna make a part 2 on this car. There's still like 10 or 15 clips that I have to put into it, so it'll make a whole nother video on its own, and you'll see the car get buffed out, what it looks like afterwards. The paint turned out really nice. You'll see me kind of just clean up the door jambs and the windows and tire shine the wheels and just kind of get it fully cleaned up and like detailed, as I say. I also do the oil and a few other little maintenance things and just get it like road worthy again. I get a few more pieces put on that I didn't have yet in this video, so the car just kind of comes all together at the end, and it's a pretty good transformation. It's definitely worth putting into a video or making videos about it. I took on this job in like January when I didn't have a lot going on, and it was kind of a special circumstance. It's my dad's neighbor's car. He wrecked it like a year or two ago, and it's just been sitting in his garage collecting dust, and he's kind of been collecting parts for it, but at the same time, he didn't know where to take it to get done. He got some like pretty high quotes for it, and wasn't sure if he wanted to just like get rid of it or put it back together, or, you know, do it himself, or what. He didn't know what to do basically until my dad told him like, hey, my son can, you know, fix it up, do the maintenance stuff, do the mechanical stuff, but also, you know, kind of put the body panels back on and shine the car up and get it cleaned up again and just get it like completely roadworthy, and also, you know, be a driver again and not be, you know, a car that you'd be embarrassed to drive. But other than that, it's a great little like A to B car, daily, you know, back and forth to work. Like I would drive it, you know, it's leather on the inside, it's comfy, and by the time I get done with it, it looks presentable. So it's not like you would look at it and go, man, look at this junk car driving down the road, or look at this beater. You know, I call it a beater, but it just means, you know, it's a car that you don't really worry about what it looks like, but it's still a good car. It's still a Toyota, you know, at the end of the day. So yeah, special circumstance. I just wanted to mention this because I don't want people thinking that I'm like a collision specialist, a collision guy, or an auto body guy, or a paint guy. Like, Yes, I can buff stuff out. Yes, I can put panels on and align stuff and do, I can do stuff like that, but it's not what I like to do. It's not my specialty at all. I don't want people bringing me their wrecked cars and expecting me to, pull frames and fix damage, and that's not me. This was just a very special circumstance. I didn't have any work at the time. He wanted to get it done for a certain price. I knew I could do it and make it good, and we just came to a mutual agreement. I spent like a month doing it in my spare time, so that's why like there's a lot of clips and there's not a lot of video of me doing stuff, but just a lot of update videos, and that's just kind of why the clips are a little, it's not filmed the best because I didn't have a chance to do it like that. It was filmed in my free time over like a month long, and then some parts I didn't have and had to have him get. Some parts he did have, but they were wrong, and it was just kind of a mess altogether. But in the end, he was happy, I was happy, and it worked out for the both of us. I was glad to have the business during a part of the year where after the holidays there wasn't much business, and then he was happy to get it back on the road again, looking presentable again, everything working, and yeah, it was definitely worth making videos about, but it just didn't turn into the best footage that I like to make, but it is what it is. I still think it's satisfying and worth putting out there, and like I said, I don't want to try to jam it into one long ass video, so I'm just going to split it up, end this one here, and then make a part 2 on it and wrap it up in the next video. Like I said, it'll still be a nice long full video for sure. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this one, guys. If you enjoyed it, drop me a comment below or hit that like button. Maybe consider subscribing. It all helps me out. And be on the lookout for the part 2. Follow up with the, with the progress of it. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.